Almost 4 hours away from my home, close to New York City, and in the suburbs of the beautiful city of Boston, is a small town, Framingham. Framingham has a current population of around 70,000. This town is very popular in health research because of one of the most remarkable studies going on over there for almost 76 years, the Framingham Heart Study. Here is the website of Framingham Heart Study. And as I said, this study is going on for the last 76 years and it started back in 1948. In the original cohort, they enrolled 5,209 men and women between the ages of 30 and 62 who had not yet developed cardiovascular disease. And then they enrolled their offsprings back in 1971, and then another generation in 1994. And now, most recently, the third generation was enrolled back in 2002 and 2003. Over the years, this single heart study has collected so much information about cardiovascular disease, which probably no other study has collected so far. So, a lot about cardiovascular disease, which we know today, is because of this one particular study. They have collected information on the risk factors, which, by the way, in fact, this term risk factor was also for the first time used by Framingham Heart Study. And then they collected information on the effect of the factors such as blood pressure, triglyceride, cholesterol, age, gender, psychosocial issues on cardiovascular health. You can get more information about this study by going to the website framingham.heartstudy.org. Okay, so in the original cohort, here is the details of that. The data was collected first at the time of enrollment, and then every 2 years of their follow-up until the death of the participants. In this course, we will use the hard data set from one of these data collection points. So here is the hard data set from Framingham Heart Study that we downloaded previously. Let's take a closer look so that we have a better understanding of the data we are dealing with. And as they say in research, you need to know your data as the back of your hand. You need to have a full understanding of how this data was collected, when was it collected, and what were the pitfalls in it, any biases, who collected it, everything you need to know about your data set. You can find all the information about this data set from the Framingham Heart Study. So anyways, let's go ahead and analyze some of the things in this data set, which we can see on your screen. If you move your cursor to the first row all the way to the left until it changes into a right arrow and click, it will highlight all the variables, and then you can see on the bottom right there are 17 variables. And if you move your cursor on the header of the first column, it will select all the values underneath, and we see that there are 5,209 records, one being the header. So the way we read this data set is that each row represents a record from one patient, and each column represents attribute of all the patients in this data set. For example, the cell A2 excuse me, shows that this person, the person 1, was in fact unfortunately dead because his status is and should have been labeled vital status. But anyways, this person is unfortunately dead. The death cause is labeled as other, which means that this is not one of the causes which were of interest for this particular study. So that's why they might have labeled some of the causes of death, and others they have labeled them as other. Age, chronic heart disease, this is blank because this person probably was never diagnosed with chronic heart disease, or this information was not available. In fact, this person was a female. She was enrolled in the study at the age of 29. Her height was 62.5 probably inches, weight 140 pounds, diastolic blood pressure, systolic blood pressure. So you might be wondering that this person is unfortunately dead, and how do we have all these values? So this is one of the techniques which are used in research very commonly, known as LOCF, last observation carried forward. This is a technique which is commonly used to reduce the missing values. But when you analyze the data, you analyze it both ways, that is with last observation carried forward and also with the observed values, so both ways you have to see the LOCF and observed cases only. Okay, so her last diastolic blood pressure was 78. Her systolic blood pressure was this. We'll skip this variable, it's not important. She was a non-smoker. That's the age at the time of her death. Her cholesterol level was not known. Now look at these last four variables. We call them derived variables because you see, this cholesterol status, in fact, is derived from the column right before. They must have used the definition to label them as desirable, high, or borderline, etc. Again, BP status is derived from, in fact, two variables, systolic and diastolic, according to the definition of blood pressure at that time. And we can always change the definition according to the most latest one. Weight status, overweight, normal weight, and some of them might be underweight, again, is based on two variables, height and weight. This is an old data set. Currently, we use the term BMI, which is more precise. Smoking status, again, is a derived variable coming from this variable smoking, and as we can see, they have also provided the definition of each of them. Moderate smokers are the ones who smoke 6 to 15, very heavy smokers who smoke more than 25, light smokers 1 to 5, etc.